Welcome to Leading for Wellness. I'm Liesl Bernard, CEO of Cologne Executive Search and Leading for Wellness events. Each week, we dive into the journeys of visionary wellness entrepreneurs, uncovering their secrets to success. Get ready for insightful conversations that will inspire you to elevate your business and prioritize your well-being. Let's dive in. Hi, I'm very excited today to have Paul Frantellizzi as our podcast guest. Paul is a well-known entity in the functional food space, a serial entrepreneur who's had a lot of success in his career and mainly focused on the functional food space, incorporating branded ingredients. And Paul, I'm really excited today to delve into your latest venture, Joyful Humans. A brand that you started to address the decline in metabolic health, metabolic wellness, and the breakdown between the gut and brain axis. And but first of all, I want to say thank you for joining us, and would love to hear how you got started in the functional food space.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much for having me here. Really appreciate it. It's a long story, and I think it's a story that a lot of entrepreneurs in the wellness space have, and it stems from some sort of an issue going on in my own life, but many other entrepreneurs have similar stories. So for me, I believe it started back in the early 1970s when I was a young child and I was using chemicals, very harsh chemicals, in my father's business. I started working at 10, 12 years old in my dad's business, and from using lacquer thinners to these harsh chemicals to taking antibiotics for acne as a young child for almost 10 years. I think those are sort of the precursors to some of the things that happened to me later in life, which then pushed us into this wellness space. So I guess the big sort of aha moment for us, or the big movement, was when I had chronic Lyme disease. I was struggling for 5+ years with chronic Lyme, and my wife and I had been traveling.
How did you contract that?
A wonderful story. I was traveling in a castle tour in south of France. I was single. I'm traveling through south of France, looking at all the castles and chateaus, drinking wine every day, and I got bitten by a tick one day, and turned into 5 years of hell.
Wow, that's crazy. And how did you solve? I know you use some alternative methods to get there.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
No, not at all. So we spent years seeing all the best doctors in the world, Dr. Briscano, Dr. Ling. At the time, this was 1990 to 1995, I believe. The therapies weren't doing anything. I was just getting worse and worse, in and out of hospitals. And my wife and I decided to take matters into our own hands. And this was sort of, again, the precursor to us being in this industry. We found a document that this procedure was being done down in Mexico, where they were heating the core body temperature of people to rid them of different types of bacteria. I tried that along with some other kind of crazy things, drinking hydrogen peroxide and raising my core body temperature to 100 to 708 degrees. Within 3 months, I was cured of Lyme disease.
Wow.
But the consequence of the therapy that we created, was long-term struggles with gut problems, candida overgrowth, because I was drinking this hydrogen peroxide. So again, it saved me, but then it built another decade or two of problems from saving myself from Lyme.
Because it killed your microbiome.
Destroyed my gut completely, yes. And again, we weren't that savvy at the time. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were, desperate to save my life, and didn't understand the consequences. But it put us on that path of thinking about eating better and taking health matters into our own hands.
I heard that methylene blue is another sort of alternative to taking hydrogen peroxide for Lyme disease. Did you ever try that?
I have not, no. And, I've thought about methylene blue quite a lot. There's such different sort of data coming out about methylene blue, some real passionate people that love it. I stay away from some of those things until there's some proof, there's some systematic proof in the industry that it's an odd thing. It's a dye. So to me, it's a really odd thing to
put into your
to
body.
start putting into your body. But again, I'm open to it if I can see some real data, but I don't want to hurt myself.
Yeah, amazing. So you cured yourself of Lyme disease by these alternative methods, and then that started your journey on creating, functional food products that are better for you and helping with the health, industry.
Yeah. So The story is we moved. My wife and I were living in Manhattan, New York City. We were in Hell's Kitchen most of our adult lives. We decided we want family, so we moved out to Idaho. And in that period of my life, I was a police commissioner and I was a mayor for a short period of time, about 8 years, 7, 8 years. Really out of character for me as an entrepreneur, but. And then we decided to start, a new business, and we had this option to start any business we wanted. We had the money, and we sat down and just thought to ourselves, let's build a chocolate company because one, everybody loves chocolate, and two, we thought chocolate could be a good medium to deliver some of these other ingredients, nootropics. At the time, they weren't called nootropics, but functional ingredients. So we built a chocolate company. We had no idea what we were doing. Zero. Never made chocolate, never built a company like that, but we did it. And a couple of years in, I think it was in 2011, we did stuff that nobody thought could be done. Everybody told us we couldn't do things like putting astaxanthin and zeaxanthin and L-theanine and coffee extracts in chocolate bars, and to create an outcome for consumers, better sleep, loss of weight, things like that. We did it, and in 2011, we won NUTRACON. So that was that big aha moment for us. We partnered with Ganeden and Fuji Health. And once we won NUTRACON, we took that win and we built an innovation lab here in Boise and built a team of about 70 employees. And we're off to the races, just making incredible products.
Wow, that's amazing. That's an incredible story from somebody I think you were a photographer, right, in New York, and then switching to making functional food and winning an award a few years later. What do you think was the secret to your success, in that short time? Was it mindset? Was it just, the knowledge you had at the time? Or, what were the elements that contributed to your success?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think I would say two things, mindset and fear. To be brutally honest with you, mindset was I grew up always working in a family business, and my father always told me to do your best, leave any place you work better than you found it, show up early, and on time for him is 10, 15 minutes early. So if you show up on time, you're late. So these basic sort of old school core principles that I grew up with, and then the fear piece, honestly, was my fear of being found out, if you will. So if I'm going to build a chocolate factory, I'm scared that everyone knows I don't know what I'm doing.
A little bit of imposter syndrome,
yes,
right? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So what that pushed in my wife and I, who built the company together, is we just went to the nth degree in everything we did to try and be the best we could be, in fear of being found out when we got our GMP certification, or Garden of Life would come visit us because we're going to do some innovation for them. So when their team walked in our lab, I was scared to death that they were going to look around and think, these guys don't know what they're doing. What ended up happening in actuality was everybody that walked into our facility and our lab and met our team was just blown away because we took everything to the furthest degree we could. But it was all based in fear and imposter syndrome, as you stated.
It's amazing. I interview quite a few CEOs in the space, and it's so many of them have brought this up. And, I think it's such a great lesson for people that are out there wondering if they're good enough to do it. And, the fact of the matter is none of us think that we're good enough to do anything, right? But
absolutely,
it's that perseverance and that fear factor that drive you, to excellence. And so that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what happened from there?
So we built that factory. We were about 12 years making chocolate bars, protein bars. We were innovating for everybody in the industry, from Dr. Mercola, Onnit Nutrition, Kroger, Melaleuca, USANA. So literally everybody in the industry was coming to our innovation lab and our innovation team. And part of the reason was what we just talked about a little bit, but another piece was just me as a human. I've always pushed the envelope. I've always wanted to break rules. That's being an entrepreneur, I think. So what we did was always a little bit different. So we were always a little bit ahead of the curve. We were trying new things. And that was, I think, attractive to a lot of larger companies who had large teams, who had dozens of food scientists on staff, who were sort of bound by these old school rules that we weren't bound by. So the attraction there was great for a lot of larger companies. And The other piece that we built out was we had this great innovation lab, but everything we innovated, we then produced in our factory, in our co-man facility downstairs. So we had this really nice synergistic relationship that we created with many large brands. We also built many of our own brands out. So that lasted about 12 years. We grew that to almost 70 employees, 8 to 10 million run rate. And then I got a request from the Stanley Brothers. These are the founders of Charlotte's Web, and they came to visit with us. And it was the right time for my wife and I to exit our business. We really wanted to jump into hemp and cannabis, so we joined the Stanley Brothers, took a 6-person team and went over to them.
Great. And how did that go?
It was amazing for the first year, and then COVID hit pretty hard, and the Stanley Brothers shut down a big part of their operation, like a lot of businesses did. We pivoted into our own in-house hemp brand, and then our functional mushroom brand, which I think you know about, called Blue Toad Botanicals. And so we pivoted like any good entrepreneur. We saw COVID coming, and we sort of, we scaled back like the Stanley Brothers did. We built 2 new brands, which maybe was insane during COVID, but we thought it was the smart thing to do. And we took manufacturing in-house. So we built another innovation lab in a small manufacturing facility. And we sort of fought through COVID and slowly built that brand as well.
Yeah. Amazing. And I think we're all in the wellness space. And I think all of us are becoming more and more aware how important wellness is just in general in success in life. And I think that hit you pretty hard in 2023 when, I think you kind of hit burnout, right? And that was a big wake-up call for you. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was sort of back end of COVID. I woke up one morning completely numb on my left side. Very scary moment, and rushed to the hospital, had a stroke and a heart attack. And, the short story is, like many entrepreneurs, I preach all the time that there's no such thing as work-life balance. It just doesn't exist when you're a business person. It's crazy to talk about it. And I see a lot of young entrepreneurs talking about it, and I try and mentor them and let them know that it's not going to happen. So I was a classic example of lack of work-life balance. I worked 18 to 20 hours a day for decades, and I took care of everybody else except me. And as I got older, I'm 65 now. I was 62, 63 at the time. Things are harder to deal with, and things when you get hit with a heart attack and a stroke, it's a big deal. So it was another shift for me to start paying attention to me and what was going on in my life. So immediately I started walking, I started grounding, I started getting sunlight. I changed my diet completely to meat, eggs, cheese, raw milk diet. I fasted 18/6. I meditated again. I got back to meditation, got back to sort of my roots, and lost 35 pounds. And I put it behind me. I'm still dealing with some things, but I really put it behind me very quickly in a way that the 2 hospital systems that I was part of could not do. They had no idea what was going on with me metabolically.
Just because you were able to reverse all of that damage so quickly and, do it with natural factors, right?
Exactly. Most of it lifestyle, in all honesty, and I think that's what I've forgotten about. In my grind over the past couple decades, I forgot how important it was to work out and get sunlight and ground your body and things like that. So I got back to it, and I'm forcing myself to, to have those better habits, even though I'm building a new business now.
Yeah. So now you're keeping, your health and your mindset front of center versus, making everything else a priority. What were the 3 or 4 main things that you think really got you back to neutral, so to speak, and being able to heal and rebuild back up? What do you think the 2 or 3 things are that were most important? Was it spiritual? Was it physical? What do you think stands out in your mind?
It was interesting. So I think one of the things that came about from the heart attack and stroke is it also kicked in massive panic attacks, which I've never had in my life. I've been rock solid since the day I was born. And it kicked in an autoimmune fibromyalgia problem, which was very, very serious. So I think, again, that was for me a really interesting piece of this whole puzzle, that suddenly my body was acting in a certain way, and I didn't understand why, but it was reacting, I should say, to not only the trauma that I had, but I think trauma that was dating back to my young childhood and chemical exposure and things like that. So what I learned from that, I believe, is that as much as I was doing on a daily basis, metabolically, eating right, exercising, doing all the things that we just talked about, I believe the cells in my body were still hanging on to trauma. And what I started doing at the same time is dealing with entheogens like psilocybin. So I started microdosing on a daily basis, and that changed the game for me completely.
How did that help?
Oh, goodness. I'll tell you the quick story. It was pretty amazing. I started doing microdosing during this whole process, and 2 weeks in, I will admit that I'm fairly a strong alpha male, your typical guy. Don't hold on to my emotions. Just keep forging forward. Pain doesn't exist kind of guy. And after 2 weeks of microdosing, about 100 milligrams of psilocybin a day, I called my wife one day during the day, and I'm just bawling my eyes out. And she had never seen that or heard that. And she was asking me, like, what happened? She thought something bad happened. And I said, I don't know. Honestly. I'm just sitting on my desk crying. Yeah. And so what I noticed immediately for me as a man, my own personal experiences, my ego just really started shifting back in a big way. Empathy started moving forward in a really big way. And that was a huge shift for me, really just finding.
Opening. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Calming my nervous system in a big way. I was also working with a lot of Amanita at the time, and I built that into some of our products now. And
what is that?
Amanita muscaria is it's a semi-psychedelic mushroom. It's the classic Christmas mushroom, bright red with white spots on it.
Okay.
It has one component of Amanita is muscimol, and it's a really powerful GABA agonist, which just calms your system. It brings you helps you come back into parasympathetic state, which is rest, calm, digest, just relaxing. So I started using Amanita and muscimol, and then it did so well for me, I started incorporating it into some of our new products. So a big part of Joyful is based on balancing the vagus nerve, creating vagal tone, getting back into parasympathetic state, and that Amanita extract is part of that.
Amazing. So outside of psilocybin, did you start in microdosing with that? Did you start, a very serious meditative practice? Did you go inward more? Because I truly believe, obviously, mind, body, spirit is what we need to incorporate into healing. But tell me more about the spiritual practices that you started during that time.
Yeah. So I'll take you back to when I was 23, 24 years old. I had an experience that I didn't know what happened at the time. I realize now what happened, but I had an outer body experience. I was laying in bed with a girlfriend at the time, just relaxing, listening to music and meditating. And suddenly I pull out of my body, and I could feel this tug. It freaked me out at first because I didn't know what it was. I felt this tug. I came out of my body, and I was at the ceiling of our room, and I'm looking down on both of us. And we're communicating back and forth. My girlfriend was pretty scared at the time because she didn't know what was happening. And I was in this incredible space, incredible place of bliss. I felt like one with the universe. I felt calm. It was the most amazing feeling I ever felt in my life. It lasted about 20 minutes, and then I just came back down. I tried for years to recreate it. I couldn't do it. And I didn't know why it happened. What I realize now, and we have a new product that we're launching, with our new brand, it's called Lucid, and it's a stack that we're building to help support the pineal gland, support the third eye, and allow people to produce more DMT, which is endogenous DMT, and have these experiences not only at birth or death, which is the most common experience. Near-death experience, or when you die, you have these experiences. So I think people should be having these experiences as often as possible. And I believe that the way to that is by supporting the pineal gland and decalcifying it, and just being in a state of calm and one with the universe. So it includes everything you said, which is meditation, proper diet, environment, everything.
Yeah, and I really think that with meditation, you can actually get there. You can actually, stimulate the pineal gland if you can go deep enough into, the different brain waves. And I think there's studies being done now that you can even use your spinal cord and then activate that and connect with your pineal gland. But that's probably a whole another
It is.
podcast in itself. But that's fascinating that you had that experience and you could tie it back to that time in 23. And do you feel
Mm.
like you've been able to access that after becoming more mindful again over the last couple of years?
Yes, definitely more
Mhm.
so than ever before. And I would add one more piece to this, which is getting back to chocolate. What I learned also in the chocolate business is that when I was young, I was a runner. I was a competitive runner. And I
Yeah,
used to always have what we called runner's high at the time.
yeah.
And runner's high, I found out when I was building a chocolate factory, was really your body, similar to producing endogenous DMT, your body can produce endogenous uh, THC, or sort of a derivative of THC. It's called anandamide, and it's a fatty acid neurotransmitter called the bliss molecule. So again, um, in order to produce that fatty acid neurotransmitter, you have to live a healthy life. You have to put healthy fats in your body, a solid balance of omega-3, 6, 9. And most of us are not doing that.
Yeah.
So we're not producing this chemical, which makes you feel good, which reduces inflammation, which it just helps you in so many ways, mood. And so I'm really focusing on that as well, too, with our product development to try and help people get not only to that balance, but those feel-good chemicals flowing through their body and through their brain.
That's really fascinating. I was a serial marathon runner in my early
Oh,
early
wow.
years as well, and
Really?
I can definitely relate to that
Isn't that
high. And
amazing?
I could never explain it to people, but it
Right?
was something that I had to go get, most days of my life. I couldn't wait to go out and run and
Yeah.
get to that high place. So that makes a lot of sense now.
I remember as a child when I was running cross country, and there was so many moments where I felt like my feet were never touching the ground, and I didn't understand it. Now I know that really I was just literally high on this chemical called anandamide, which made me feel like I was just floating through the race,
Yeah.
which is really
Yeah. And you
cool.
could solve any problem and you could have clarity about so many
Absolutely.
different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss it.
Me too. I know.
I know. My body is not always allowing me to run as much anymore
I
now,
know.
but I miss it a lot.
Same here.
That's great. Yeah. So this, this whole experience that you had with the stroke and the heart attack was actually a huge gift. And then a couple
Yeah.
of years later, obviously you were on your healing journey, and then you had listened to this talk with Kelly and Casey Means, which sparked your interest to start Joyful Humans. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, that was another moment. I got chills when I was listening to them. So, um, super happy about what's going on politically and with Maha. And when I say politically, I mean the fact that the system is being sort of shaken up a little bit, not just politics, but the healthcare system. And it came about because RFK was willing to run, and then he was willing to sort of join forces with a different team. And all those things are really bold, I think. And I really believe that regardless of political stance, we needed boldness. We needed somebody to come in, or a group of people to come in, whether it's Marty McCarran or Dr. Oz or RFK or the Means, brother and sister, to shake things up a little bit. So I'm listening to Paul Saladino, and he has two different podcasts. It's Callie and Casey, and they just keep talking about metabolic balance and metabolic dysfunction, and how bad things are. And they mentioned everything. And Paul sort of lives his life. He's out in the sun, he's exercising, he's fit, he's eating meat. And so I've been following him and trying to replicate as much as I can. When I heard them talking, I got chills, and I literally went home from work that night, and I said to my wife, Pam, and then subsequently called a good friend of ours. I said, we need to do something. This is it. This is the calling. This is the big why.
I'm getting goosebumps now.
Yeah, it was very cool. And again, we've done this many times. We've had multiple businesses, but this one felt like the time was right. The need was there. We're the people that could execute on it. And we believe in it desperately. We just really, really believe that we need to do this. Again, similar to Paul with his brands and many other companies out there. So within a day or so, we had Joyful Humans, and we luckily secured the domain.
How did you come up with the name?
I've been toying around with the name Joyful for a while. I love the name, and I had done some stress testing on the name with an old partner of mine who he did some sort of testing with about 1,000 different people to find out what names would trigger good response, bad response within the community. So Joyful always kept coming up as a really positive name, something people just felt good about every time they heard the name Joyful as a brand name. So anyway, we went with Joyful, and the name was available, which was these days like nearly impossible.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So we scored the domain, we start building out the brand, and that was it. And I think honestly, I did all the design work. I built the domain, the website, everything out. I just feel like I got lucky. I feel like I was channeling something, to be brutally honest with you. Like I was just channeling the look, the feel, the mission of this brand. It was something that was beyond us. It was something that had to be done, and we were just sort of this vehicle, this channel. So I hope that doesn't sound too crazy.
No, not at all. And, I think the name Joyful or Joy, if you look at the frequency chart and vibration, as far as emotions are concerned, joy is, at the top. Joy and appreciation is at the top of that. So just, I think the word itself has a very high vibration. So I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous name. So
thank you. We agree.
So tell us about the product. So you're addressing metabolic dysfunction, but for the average person out there, what does that mean? Is that mitochondria? Is that, microbiome? Is it vagal nerve? Tell us more about it.
Yeah. So yes to all of it, honestly. So our goal is homeostasis. Our goal is to create balance again, and we start with the gut. So the gut is, I think, one of the most important components of our bodies. So much is done in the gut that we don't realize. We see it as sort of this channel, just putting food in and taking food out of our body. And it's so much more than that, of course, in terms of brain chemistry and mood and immune function and everything else. So we realize the importance of the gut. So we want to restore the gut as a basis, protect the gut. And we do that with a product that we call Protect. And we named all these products appropriately, I think. The Protect product is a peptide base that helps heal the gut lining.
Is it like BPC 157, or which one is it?
So we're not using BPC 157. What I did was I created something called Protect 157, which is a replica, if you will, of BPC 157 with an amino acid stack that I put together. And the reason is I don't know where BPC 157 is going to go in terms of legal status. FDA, right now it's not really allowed, although I'm taking in, everyone's buying it and selling it. So, but I didn't want to build the business on that, so that was a little risky. So I created Protect 157. Then we have our Balance tincture, which is our vagus nerve balance tincture. So creating vagal tone, incredibly powerful. And some of the ingredients in there are just amazing, from blue lotus to African kanna and muscimol, which we mentioned. So it's a really powerful, as a combined product, really powerful GABA agonist. Helps us sleep, lowers HRV, balances HRV levels, and just creates calm, reduces anxiety. So that combined with restoring the gut, then we move on to the brain, and that's awakening the brain. And then we go, again, much further than that. We have male-female hormone balances, the pineal gland that we talked about, stack, and a few other real amazing products. So we're excited. We got a lot going on, but everything is based on creating ultimately homeostasis, balance. Along with the products, we're also teaching and training. So that's part of it. We're going to share our stories and help people to get outside more often, get sunshine, ground, balance themselves.
Amazing. So I know you completely changed your life after the heart attack and stroke and got yourself into homeostasis and balance again. Tell me about your biohacking routine, and then I'd love to come back to Joyful again.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I would say this, that I'm 65. So, shit happens at 65. You can't, it just does. And anything that does happen is harder to deal with. So you have to fight a little bit harder. You have to wake up a little bit earlier. So it's more of a challenge. Like many, I was bulletproof at 20 and 25 and 30. Like nothing could harm me. So you have to pay a little more attention at 65. And, part of that is really focusing on some of the things we talked about already. I fast 18/6, so sometimes 24. So I fast every single day, and then I intersperse in longer fasts from 3 to 11 days every couple months.
And do you eat at night, or what? When do you break your fast?
How do I do it? Yeah. So my fast generally is I stop eating at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. There are times I just don't do anything. I don't drink water. I don't do anything. And there are times I hydrate, of course. But I stop at 6, and I don't go again till at least 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock the next day or next morning. And then when I start eating again, what I do immediately is I have protein. So I have eggs, meat, butter, cheese, milk, raw milk. That's it. I start with that. And then I'll go to fruit, a little bit of fresh fruit. I don't drink any fruit juices or freeze-dried fruits or anything. I do fresh fruit, so I'm making sure I'm getting that fiber in along with the sugars. And then throughout the day, I'll have one of two things. I'll have a solid dinner, which is similar. It's kind of boring, to be brutally honest with you, but it's like meat, eggs, cheese.
But you feel so good when you eat that,
But
right? It's so
yeah,
satisfying. Yeah.
it is what it is. So I've gotten used to it, and I love how I feel. So that makes a difference. The other thing I would say is, which is, without, too big of a share here, but because of the high cortisol levels and the stress that I was living with, the heart attack, the stroke, all of those things, I started losing my hair like crazy. I was overweight. So a lot of things were going wrong. I was heading down that negative path of growing old. Since I started all this, literally half of my hair grew back. I lost 35 plus pounds. I feel better. I have more muscle. So it's literally my body sort of rebuilding itself through this
Amazing.
process, which is mind blowing.
Yeah. I have a 24-year-old son that lives in New York, and he, started losing a bit of hair too. And he went onto that same diet where, raw milk, meat,
Cool.
eggs, cheese, and just a little bit of fruit. And it's completely changed the way
Oh,
he
so good to
looks.
hear.
And yeah, amazing. And so for him to at 24 to be able to figure that out is pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So what else outside of your diet do you
Uh,
do?
Getting sun. I sit in the sun every day.
For how long?
I at least a half an hour a day minimum. If I can more, I do. But at least a half an hour of morning sun, and I try to do morning or late sun, generally morning. I don't wear sunglasses anymore. I keep my eyes open. I get sunlight into my eyes on purpose. I don't look at the sun, but I get sunlight into my eyes. I ground. So if I can't literally ground with bare feet, what I did was I put grounding posts in front and back of my house, and I sit outside, sit in the sun, hold on to a grounding post, and I just discharge on a daily basis. I walk, I run. I started lifting heavy weights again. That's something I did my whole life. So I think that's really important. And there's some really, really interesting studies just come out with weightlifting and hang time, grip strength for loss of memory. And I think that's crucially important. I had 2 people in my family die of Alzheimer's and memory loss. So that worries me a little bit. So I'm working on that. Yeah.
How about meditation and the spiritual side, and and maybe even incorporating psychedelics, because sometimes that's really good for trauma release, right?
Yes. So definitely psychedelics. My next big journey is going to be DMT. I'm scared to death of ayahuasca, to be brutally honest with you. I'm nervous
I
about
have not done that either.
the whole experience, right? It's and that's more the ego in me being, sort of holding on to the embarrassment of it and the challenges of 3
doing
days.
it in a group setting.
Yeah. But DMT is big on my list. I've played around with MDA, MDMA, and a couple different cactus, and mostly psilocybin microdosing, and all of that has helped me a lot. So I do it religiously, weekly, 3 to 4 times a week. I always take some time off to sort of reset. I want to mention to you, though, too, one of the reasons I started doing this is that I was for many, many years on SSRIs. It was the classic doctor, I'm feeling a little down, I'm stressed, I'm tired, put me on an SSRI. And again, I didn't know any better for decades. So the SSRIs took me from like an 800 testosterone level down to the last big check I had I was at 93 and 95 testosterone levels. Hideous. So I got off SSRIs. I started microdosing. Comes right back.
Microdosing with testosterone and mushrooms, or
no, just mushrooms. Just mushrooms. And my mood bounced out. Testosterone went back up because I wasn't suppressing it with these serotonin inhibitors. Everything just kind of got back in balance.
hopefully all this information will, start getting released on how bad some of these pharmaceuticals are and just, affecting our hormones and just, health in general. So,
Yeah.
please continue to speak up about it. So let's get back to Joyful, this amazing brand that you're launching right now. Who should be taking Joyful, and where is it going to be available? How are you guys going to go about educating? Tell me more about the strategy and what's next for Joyful.
Yeah. So the quick answer is, who should be taking Joyful? Everybody, of course, which is the obvious answer. I think.
I can't wait to take mine, by the way. Thank you for sending.
Yeah, pleasure. I was listening to a podcast you did with Tom Arts, and Tom hit it on the head, I think, with from a brand perspective. And I follow Tom. I know him pretty well and know his work really well.
Amazing guy. Yeah.
He started with, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, why? What's your why? What's the science? You got to market, educate, and build a strong team around you. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing it, but we've got a great why. The challenge for us is the science piece early out of the gate, because we're small brand, self-funding, so we're doing a lot of this ourselves. So we've done two things in that realm, and that one is that we built an app. So we're going to launch our own app here very soon, and on that app we have things we just talked about: is meditation, binaural beats, different types of music, training sessions, how to balance your vagus nerve, things like that. But also on the app, we're going to use it to do a 60-person study on our balanced tincture, which, by the way, is right here.
Beautiful packaging. Yeah.
Thank you. So this tincture is amazing, and we're going to do a 60-person study on HRV levels and sleep study. So we're going to do that internally because, again, we don't have the capital to go out and do a large clinical. So we're doing sort of everything we can. And it's something I recommend to a lot of young entrepreneurs is, build something, get as much anecdotal evidence from your consumers as you can. We are selling direct to consumer. So that's our early mission, selling direct to consumer so we can educate. We can tell the story. We can literally have a deep connection with the consumer as opposed to being in retail. And we've done retail numerous times over the years, large retail and big box. So we really think that this brand deserves to be sold direct to consumer, where we can really educate and continue innovating. Products from a product and brand perspective is we're going to raise money early next year. So we're going to do a capital raise in 26 early. And then phase 2 launch is Q1 to Q2 of 2026 with the other products that I mentioned to you. One is a longevity product, the pineal gland product that I mentioned as well. So we got a lot on our plate. We're a small team, and we're trying to find work-life balance, which is challenging. So
yeah, amazing. What an incredible story, Paul. And I just love the brand and what you guys are doing with the brand as well. And I'm sure a lot of people that'll listen to this podcast would want to know more. So are you going to be selling on TikTok Shop, on Amazon? Sort of where are the outlets that you're going to get be able to access these?
Yes. So direct is joyfulhumans.com, TikTok Shop at Joyful Humans, Instagram, Facebook, of course, Etsy, of course. So we're on all the platforms. Everything's Joyful Humans. And we'll be out there. We're looking to do a roadshow too in 2026 if we can. So that's one of our things. The roadshow is going to be a title, What Makes You Joyful? And we're just going to go talk to people around the country and find out what makes them joyful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There's just so much you can do with that. Will you be at Expo West?
Yes, definitely.
Great. So anyone that wants to meet you can meet you there.
Yeah.
So we'll have the link to Joyful Humans on our site as well. So if anyone wants to go to leadingforwellness.com, you can access the brand there, and then obviously on the different channels. And if people can reach you, they can find you on LinkedIn under Paul Frantellizzi, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm, in awe of what you guys are building, and can't wait to see what's next. And I look forward to having you on the podcast again in the future.
Thank you. Great chatting with you. Wonderful time together. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers.
Thank you for tuning into Leading for Wellness. This podcast is powered by Leading for Wellness CEO and Investor Events and Kalon Executive Search. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your favorite social media platform. And to learn more about our services, visit leadingforwellness.com or kalonsearch.com and follow us on Instagram as well.